Imagine walking into your local grocery store tomorrow morning and discovering that every store charged exactly the same price for everything. A gallon of milk is $8, a loaf of bread is $3, eggs are $9, and your morning coffee is $7. It doesn't matter which store you visit, which brand you choose, or whether one product is better than another. Every price has already been decided. No discounts, no competition. Now, if you're thinking, well, Starbucks for $7, that doesn't sound too bad. There's only one problem with that. Starbucks might not exist, or at the very least, it wouldn't be the brand it is today. We've talked about how competition encourages businesses to innovate, improve quality, and keep prices competitive. But if every business charged the same price, regardless of quality or service, what incentive would there be to create something better? Today, we're exploring one of the mechanisms that makes capitalism work, and that's the free market. While the terms are often used interchangeably, they're not exactly the same. Capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership and voluntary exchange. A free market describes how buyers and sellers interact within that system, with prices determined primarily by supply and demand rather than the government. We haven't talked much about supply and demand since February, so let's do a quick refresher. I'll include a link to that episode below for the full discussion. In a free market, when supply increases and demand remains low, prices often fall as businesses compete to attract buyers and reduce excess inventory. When demand is high but supply is limited, prices typically rise as consumers compete for fewer available goods. In a free market, businesses compete for customers, consumers decide where to spend their money, and prices adjust as market conditions change. Rather than being assigned, prices are discovered through millions of independent decisions made every day. No country operates in a perfectly free market. Instead, it's helpful to think of the economic systems as being on a spectrum. Countries like Singapore and Switzerland are often ranked among the freest market economies in the world. The United States also falls along that spectrum. It combines free enterprise with government regulations, consumer protections, environmental laws, and social programs, so economists generally describe this as a mixed economy. And on the other end of the spectrum are countries where governments play a much larger role in directing economic activity. In those systems, government may influence prices, production, wages, or the allocation of resources to a much greater extent. In practice, neither end of that spectrum exists in its purest form today. Nearly every country blends elements of free markets with some level of government involvement. The real difference is how much influence markets have versus how much influence the government has over economic decisions. Understanding free markets helps explain why prices change, why businesses innovate, and why competition plays such an important role in economic growth. It's also why economists often describe prices as signals. Prices communicate information. They tell businesses what consumers want, where shortages exist, and when markets are changing. Rising prices encourage businesses to produce more, while falling prices often tell businesses it's time to adapt.